3 days. That's all the warning I got. One moment, I was the silent architect of a $2.3 billion IPO, the woman who spent 2 years buried in compliance filings, catching every hidden risk that could sink the entire deal. The next, security escorted me past the open plan floor, while my boss Brad stood in the glass conference room, arms crossed, smirking like he'd just cleaned house. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. He simply said, loud enough for the team to hear, "She's too expensive. We're streamlining before the IPO. Replaceable." I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just nodded once and walked into the rain. What Brad didn't know, what none of them knew, was that by firing me, he hadn't saved money. He had bricked the entire launch, and karma was already loading in the background. Welcome back to Karma Tales Anon, where betrayal meets the kind of justice that whispers instead of screams. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We uncover the darkest stories of those who crossed the wrong person and paid in silence. Today's tale comes from the shadows of corporate ambition. Let's call her Lena, not her real name, but every cold detail is pulled from someone who learned the hard way that loyalty is a one-way street in the boardroom. Lena had been with Apex Dynamics for 4 years. Not the flashy sales guy, not the visionary founder type. She was the compliance officer, the invisible one who lived in spreadsheets, regulatory filings, and risk matrices. The one who caught the CEO's brother-in-law transaction that would have triggered SEC flags. The one who rewrote vendor contracts at 3 a.m. so the numbers stayed clean. Brad was the new CFO, parachuted in 6 months earlier to modernize and cut costs before the big IPO roadshow. He loved town halls about efficiency and lean teams. What he really loved was looking like the hero who trimmed fat. Lena played the game quietly. She worked weekends, shoulders hunched over her keyboard. She documented every approval with precise, steady hands. She fixed Brad's sloppy oversight without ever taking public credit, because that's what reliable people do. Until the numbers got too big. The IPO valuation sat at $2.3 billion. Investors were circling. The press releases were drafted, and Brad needed to show the board he was ruthless. Lena's salary, a rounding error in the grand scheme, but a visible one on the pre-IPO expense sheet. So Brad made his move. It happened on a Tuesday morning. The entire compliance team was pulled into the main conference room. Glass walls, everyone watching from the floor. Brad stood at the head of the table, projector glowing behind him with Q3 projections. He didn't ease in. "Lena, effective immediately. Your role is being eliminated as part of our pre-IPO optimization. You're simply too expensive for what you deliver." The room went still. A few colleagues shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. One junior analyst looked down at her notes, avoiding eye contact. Brad slid the termination packet across the polished table. Severance, minimal. NDA, ironclad. Access revocation, already processed. Lena sat there for a long second, feeling the weight of every late night, every hidden risk she had neutralized, every time she had saved the company from regulatory disaster. She signed, calmly, her hand steady despite the storm inside. As security waited by the door, Brad leaned in and said softly, "Just for her, don't take it personally. The new automated systems will handle compliance now. You were never irreplaceable." She walked out carrying nothing but a small potted plant from her desk and the quiet rage that had finally crystallized. That night, rain hammering her apartment window. Lena didn't cry. She sat in the dark room, screen glow illuminating her tired but focused face. She opened her personal encrypted drive, the one she had maintained for years, not out of paranoia but professional habit. Every critical filing, every approval chain, every flagged risk that only she fully understood. The master authorization matrix for the final SEC submissions, the proprietary compliance scripts that bridged legacy systems with the new IPO platform. Brad had revoked her company access, but he had never touched the shadow copies she kept offline, and the final S1 filing, the one that had to be authorized by a named compliance officer with specific credentials, was due in 72 hours. The next 48 hours were chaos inside Apex. Brad paraded the streamlined team in internal meetings, smiling confidently. He assured investors everything was on track. The automated compliance tools, the ones he had pushed for, would handle the final push. Lena watched from the outside, sitting quietly in the dark. She didn't post on LinkedIn. She didn't call old colleagues. She simply waited, her face calm but eyes sharp. On day 3, the panic started. The final authorization sequence failed. The legacy systems threw errors that no one on the remaining team could decipher. The new automation couldn't bridge the gap, because only Lena knew the exact mapping of legacy risk flags to the new regulatory language. Investors began asking questions. The board called emergency sessions. Brad's confident tone cracked in late-night calls, sweat visible on his forehead. He tried everything. External consultants, rushed overtime, even begging former employees. Nothing worked. The filing window was closing. Then came the call Lena had been expecting. Brad's voice on the other end, no longer smug, strained and desperate. "Lena, we need you to come back. Just for the filing. We'll make it worth your while." She let the silence stretch. Rain tapped against her window like a metronome. "I'm listening," she said quietly, voice steady and cold. Brad offered double pay for a week, then triple, then equity sweeteners. Lena declined each one, politely, her expression never changing, quiet satisfaction in her eyes, because by then she had already done 2 things. First, she had forwarded the full documentation package, time-stamped, encrypted, undeniable, to the SEC whistleblower portal and the board's independent audit committee. Not out of spite, out of duty. The same duty that had made her valuable in the first place. Second, she had quietly begun conversations with 2 of Apex's largest institutional investors, the ones whose due diligence she had supported for months. They remembered her name. They remembered the risks she had flagged that Brad had downplayed. The IPO didn't just delay, it imploded. The filing was pulled. Regulatory scrutiny intensified. The whistleblower submission triggered a formal review that uncovered other corners Brad had cut: aggressive revenue recognition, undisclosed related party risks, the very things Lena had warned about in internal memos he had dismissed as overly cautious. 3 senior executives, including Brad, were removed within weeks. The valuation cratered. Lawsuits from early investors followed. The once hyped tech darling became a cautionary tale in financial news. Lena never celebrated publicly. She didn't need to. She accepted a consulting retainer from one of the disgruntled investors at triple her old salary, with equity in their next fund. She now works remotely from her quiet apartment, choosing projects that matter on her own terms. As for Brad, last anyone heard, his reputation in fintech circles had turned toxic. The man who preached efficiency couldn't deliver the one thing the market demanded: credibility. His LinkedIn went silent. Headhunters stopped calling. He had fired the wrong person. And in the quiet hours, when the rain falls on empty conference rooms, the company he tried to streamline is still picking up the pieces. This story stays with me because it reveals the darkness at the heart of so many workplaces. They preach team and family while treating people like line items on a spreadsheet. They underestimate the quiet ones who actually hold everything together. Lena didn't scream. She didn't leak dramatically. She simply let the systems she had protected do what they were designed to do. Once the person guarding them was removed, The quieter you become, the louder the consequences speak. Documentation isn't paranoia. Boundaries aren't weakness. Knowing your own value isn't arrogance. Sometimes the most devastating revenge is simply stepping back and watching the house of cards collapse under its own weight. What would you have done if your boss called you replaceable days before the biggest moment of the company's life? Would you have walked away quietly or fought back louder? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and the rawest stories often become future episodes. Tag someone who needs to hear this tale of silent power. If this dark karma story hit hard, smash like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new one. We're building a community that knows betrayal doesn't get the final word. Follow on Instagram at KarmaTaleSanon for daily dark quotes, teasers, and more stories from the shadows. Link in the description. Remember, they crossed the wrong person. Karma doesn't always arrive screaming. Sometimes it arrives as a failed authorization and a $2.3 billion silence. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp out there. New tale drops soon. See you in the next one.